Did dinosaurs live with people? Well, hello, Calvin Smith here, and welcome to Creation Basics, where our goal is to make God's creation part of your everyday conversation. Now, today's question: imagine dinosaurs living with people. You know, the thought sounds crazy to a modern mind steeped in evolution, like I used to be as I was growing up. But it's the only reasonable conclusion if the Bible's true. And if that sounds crazy, we'll just stick around for a minute so we can sort this through. You know, we all have kind of a filter or a lens that we look at the world around us in. And for Christians, this filter should be the Bible, of course, because Christians should have a biblical worldview. The Bible is the key. It's the key historical document to help us answer questions about when dinosaurs lived and why we don't see them today, for example. You see, the reason that many people, even professing Christians, reject the idea that people and dinosaurs ever walked around together is because they believe the evolutionary story. The dinosaurs died out about 65 million years ago, and of course modern humans, well, they appeared about 100,000 years ago. And so if you believe that time scale, well, there's no way they ever encountered one another. But if you begin your thinking with the Bible rather than man's ideas, we come to a different interpretation. Basically, a different interpretation of the same facts, because we're all looking at the exact same facts. We all have the same fossils, the same footprints, the same petroglyphs and other artifacts, and so on. Yet the facts don't speak for themselves. They have to be interpreted. And if we interpret those facts through the lens of Scripture, the only logical conclusion is that people and dinosaurs were alive at the same time. Let me explain. In Genesis 1, God tells us how He created the universe over a period of 6 24-hour days. On day 6 of creation week, God created land animals and described them in broad categories, kind of like cattle and creeping things, and the beasts of the earth, etc. Dinosaurs, of course, were reptile-like animals that lived on land and walked with their legs up under their bodies. And by this description, they'd have likely been among the beasts of the earth created on day 6 that we talked about. Now, as we read on, God, of course, made people, Adam and Eve, in His own image on the same day. So if dinosaurs were created on day 6, and humans were created on day 6, and the days were normal length, then we'd naturally conclude that dinosaurs and humans were alive at the same time. But just by being alive at the same time doesn't mean they interacted frequently, okay? It wasn't like your pet dog. Many people alive today will never interact with a bear, for example, but that doesn't mean they aren't alive at the same time. And even so, there are a bunch of dragon legends from around the world that hint that humans did interact with what we'd call dinosaurs today from time to time, but we'll get into that in another episode. Now, at the time of creation, God brought animals to Adam to give them names. We read about that in Genesis. While the word dinosaur doesn't appear in our English Bibles, after all, the word wasn't invented until 1841, they were likely among the beasts of the field that God brought to Adam, as we mentioned. And from the fossil record, we know that maybe 70 different kinds of dinosaurs were alive on the earth before the flood, described in Genesis 6 to 9. And just over 1,650 years passed between the creation and the flood. So it seems likely that humans and dinosaurs must have interacted during this time, but as we mentioned earlier, they likely lived in different areas and not necessarily right alongside each other. However, with the vast number of dinosaur remains we find across the globe that were buried as a result of the flood, even in Antarctica, I mean, it would be hard to argue that there was never any contact between the two, and hence those dragon legends, and we really need to do an episode on that, and we will. So, did dinosaurs live with people? I mean, did children keep pet dromaeosaurs, or did Dad go out to saddle up the family Triceratops to ride into town? Well, we can't be dogmatic about things like that because the Bible is not clearly describing those types of activities. But if we take the Bible at face value, we know they coexisted for sure. The challenge is that many Christians have never seen the scientific evidence for fossils and rock layers and soft tissue found in dinosaurs, etc., explained in support of the biblical text versus an evolutionary explanation. And that's why the Answers in Genesis ministry has a huge amount of resources that can help you sort through all these questions. So head on over to answersingenesis.org for more answers about dinosaurs. Hey folks, Calvin here. If you've been watching this program for a while now, have been blessed by the content, understand the importance of biblical authority, and have the means, please consider giving a one-time gift or becoming one of our monthly supporters by clicking that link below. And even if you don't, keep watching. Our goal is to equip the average believer to be able to share the gospel more frequently and effectively by making God's creation part of your everyday conversation. Stay blessed.